Good morning. All right, I'm going live in all the places. Let me know that you're here when you get here so that I can see you while I bring this up on my phone. Here we go. Um, Okay, now I hear it from someplace else. Hold on. There we go. All right. All right. Let's get the show on the road. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How are you doing this morning? Make sure that you say hello and let me know that you're here. Ah, it's a beautiful, beautiful day. And I know I was talking to my sister this morning, and um, we're about to have a very different weather situation going on to where they're predicting, what is it, 5 inches of rain and a lot of flooding and power outages and everything because of that tropical storm. It's hitting us. I know it's something. It's a category 3 or 4 hurricane hitting Panama City, and then so we're going to get the tropical storm part of it. Can be quite intense, but I've got a roof over my head, and so it is good, right? And actually, everything needs some water, so I'm trying to look at all the good, right? Let me see what. All right. So I just shared on my personal page. I actually got a little distracted as I was trying to get everything set up because there was this really cool video, and I saw it on Instagram as I was trying to pull up Instagram to get it all set up. And it was a girl standing at her car, and she was counting out her change and everything but to get gas. And somebody that was on the pump on the other side took their nozzle and put it in her car, and so she must have prepaid for a certain amount, and then she left. And so when the girl finished trying to count out this change and she turned around, the pump was in her car, and you could see the look on her face. She was so relieved, and when she got in the car, she was thanking God that some angel had stepped in and helped her. So it was just such an amazing little clip that I just had to share it, because I don't know if you're like me, but I'm always loving when I can see somebody doing good, because we're so inundated all the time with all the bad in the world. And I love, because there are a lot more good things that happen than bad. We're just not shown those most of the time because that doesn't get us ratings. And this doesn't really have anything to do with our affirmation and journal prompt. It's just what's coming up for me this morning after seeing that video. I had a client many years ago that actually was one of the she wasn't an anchor, whatever. She worked at the TV station, and she was one of the people in front of the camera, and she would tell stories and she'd interview people and stuff. Is that an anchor? I don't know. So anyway, she came in. It was a little bit before Christmas, and she was asking me, do you have any stories about someone that I might could share with my producer, and maybe we could get it on the news? And I said, well, as a matter of fact, I do. I had a client at the time, and that her and her husband had, I don't remember how many kids they had, but they had a bunch of kids. And he was a teacher at a private school. And they were sharing a vehicle because they only had the money with his salary, with all these kids, to have this one vehicle. So sometimes she would take him and drop him off at work to keep the car so that she could do something with the kids. But a lot of times he would take the car. And then if something happened, she would have to get a friend or a neighbor or something to help her out. And so he was such an instrumental, well-loved teacher, and for whatever reason, everybody loved him, right? And so there was one day he was called into the office and said that he needed to go to the auditorium. And when he went to the auditorium, the place was packed, and they brought him up on stage, and they gifted him a new car. Now, I don't know if it was brand new or if it was used or not. It doesn't really matter. The thing is that the school, the parents, all the students, they did fundraisers, they did all these different things without him even knowing what they were doing it for. And it was to get him this car because they knew how much they needed it, and he was such a beloved teacher, right? What an amazing story, right? So I told her about this story. And so I messaged this woman, my client, and asked her before I shared the information. I said, is it okay for me to give her your information to connect with you and your husband and get the story and everything? She said, sure. So I gave her all the information. She collected it. She interviewed them and everything. When she took it to her producer, the producer said, well, that's a great story, but right now I think we need something that's a little bit more drama, a little bit more of something that will draw people in. So they trashed that one and did some horrific story about a tragedy that was going on. And so the reason I'm telling you this is because a lot of times there are so many things that they could be talking about, but they choose not to because it doesn't really get them ratings. It doesn't get people to swoop in. It's like when you're driving down the road and there's an automobile accident. Very few people don't slow down to see what's going on, right? And so the same thing happens on the news and all of those TV things, right? Is that the more dramatic it seems, the more people were drawn to at least listening. And so that's when I was really woken up on the fact that there's so much good that's going on in the world. They're just not sharing it with us. And so that's why I shared that video. That's an awful long story to explain that, right? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and go to the affirmation. All right, so give me just a second. All right, so our affirmation for today is, I am deeply connected to my inner power and create a magnificent life with ease. And remember, anything that comes after the words I am are ultra powerful. So definitely utilize this statement today. And one of the things that was important to me was that we're connected to our inner power, creating this life. But even more importantly to me was the ease part of it. Because a lot of us can feel like we're doing things and we're connecting and we're changing things. However, it can feel like a very daunting task. It can feel hard. It can feel confusing. It can feel all those things, right? And so I really, really wanted it to be magnificent and easy, right? So take this and put it on your sticky note, your index card, the screensaver on your phone. Put it somewhere that you're going to see it today and be reminded, because it's a very powerful statement. And remember, the statements that we make change things, and our thoughts and our feelings and our movements. And so by saying this and really internalizing it, you're going to open yourself up to even more inspiration, to more things that could possibly show up. Hold on a second. All right. So the affirmation, I am deeply connected to my inner power, and I create a magnificent life with ease. Mm, delicious, right? That's the best part. All of that is amazing because that's going on all the time. We're all the time connecting in some way. Sometimes we don't recognize it, right? And we're always creating. We're creating our life whether we like it or not. And if you don't, then it's time to switch a little bit so that you can start creating the life that you choose. But when it can come with ease, I like it there to be an ease and a flow, right? An ease and a flow to life. It's like you wake up in the morning and you just feel good and you flow to doing one thing and then you flow to doing another and you let inspiration guide you on where you're going, what you're doing. And when you're doing that, you are taking care of you and it just begins to happen. The right people show up. You may go to a coffee shop and you meet someone who introduces you to someone who introduces you to someone. So it's not like by doing that, you walk into a coffee shop, you meet the person that you're going to marry, right? It may mean that you meet several different people because of that interaction, and then that person shows up, right? Good morning, Lynn. I see you come in. Thank you for being here. So the thing is, we can be so connected to creating this magnificent life, and we can decide that we're going to do it with an ease and a flow that just feels calm, right? Good morning. Back from a weekend vacation, ready to get the challenge started. Yes. Yes. Well, I'm excited for you. And I sent out the a message to everybody. So check your email because that's the link to the WhatsApp and to go in there and introduce yourself and tell what your intentions are. So definitely get to that if you can today. That would be amazing. And I did my first dare yesterday and put it in the Find Your Voice Facebook for Stacy. And then today I'm going to go into our WhatsApp group and share a little bit. Yes. Great, Lynn. I'm so glad you're on this journey with us. This is going to be so fun. So back to the affirmation. And this would be a good one for you today too, Lynn. I am deeply connected to my inner power, which Find Your Voice helps you to get that inner power out, in my opinion. And I create a magnificent life with ease. Oof, with ease. Isn't it amazing when you can just feel that there's this flow about life? You're not having to worry about things. It's just, you're magnetically drawing things to you. Now, it doesn't always feel that way, right? But we want to feel that way as much as possible. And this is where we start. All right, so now I'm going to share the journal prompt. Hold on. Yay. It all shows up on the same place. How does connecting to your inner power help you create the life you desire? And then write about the ways you can tap into that power more often. Now, so this is going to be a really good journaling experience today. So like I tell you all the time, take some time to just breathe and relax, get silent, and really tune into you. And one of the things that I do, and I share this quite often. So, and if you're watching the replay, make sure that you put #replay. And if you're watching from on one of the other platforms, and you want to be part of the Stand Up and Stand Out community, it's very easy to do. You just go to VickyPoole.com, VICKIEPOOLE.com, and you'll be prompted to answer some questions, and make sure you answer them to get into the group. Because right now I've got 5 people sitting in there that have not answered the questions. And I, today, sometime, I'm going to be sending them a message, because I've been really busy with trying to get everything situated for the Find Your Voice Challenge and how we were all doing this together. So I digress. So before you start journaling, just take the time to be in silence and be quiet. And that mind chatter will begin, because it always does. Your mind is a machine that doesn't really like the silence. It wants to keep telling you the stories that you've said for so very long. And so we want to quiet them down just a little bit, whether it's your thoughts are going toward the things that you didn't do yesterday or this morning that you were supposed to do, or if it's thinking about what you're going to do for lunch or dinner or any. So it's just there'll be chatter going on continuously, right? That's what our minds do. So in order to silence it just a little bit, just quiet it just enough. If nothing else, just focus on your breath. Count the breaths, count them going in, count them going out. I like listening to the sounds in the room and labeling them, like the ceiling fan. I can hear it right now. I can hear the fountain downstairs, the hum of my desktop. So you can do those things to just kind of bring yourself back into center. And then you focus on the thought of the journal prompt. How does connecting to your inner power help you create the life you desire? Just write down whatever shows up. How does it do that? Write down whatever your thoughts are, because your subconscious mind will be feeding you information that sometimes you don't even know you think, right? And then when you've done that, you've just brain dumped as much as possible. Write about the ways that you can tap into that power more often. So what do you have to do to tap into that power? One of the things is just to spend some time getting quiet every day and allowing your subconscious mind, your God voice, your gut to give you some guidance. And sometimes that guidance is just, call Aunt Bertha and have a conversation. And so it's not always like you're compelled to go online and do an amazing video, or that you write a letter or you send out an email. Sometimes it's something so simple and so small of just connecting with someone. And it doesn't matter why you have this inclination to do that. Just follow it. Because most of the time we sit back and we'll say, I don't have time to do that right now. I'll do that later. Or, that doesn't sound like anything that I want to do now, maybe, or I don't understand how that would help me. There's so many things that will go on in our minds to keep us from doing something that our gut, our instinct, our inner voice is telling us to do. And the thing is that if you delay, you can still get results, but whatever it is that your intuition, your God voice is guiding you to do, do it then, because there's some kind of magic gonna happen if you do it when the idea comes to you. Does that make sense? Let me see what's... All right. Well, there is such a delay. No worries. The thing is that we want to act on the inspired action, whatever it may be, no matter how small or how big. When we get that intuitive hit of do something, do it. Because there's a story, and I know I've shared this many times, and you've probably heard it a lot of other places, but there's this story. Now, whether it's an actual truth or not, I don't know. I like to think that it is. But the story is that Michael Jackson is in his hotel room and he's asleep. And he wakes up and he calls his manager and he says um, that there's this idea that he just came to him in his sleep, that of the next video that he needs to do or the next thing that he needs to do. And the manager says, well, it's like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. Could this not have waited? And he said, no. He said, this is my idea and Prince is asleep right down the hall. And if I don't take this right now, it'll be his. And so it's kind of feels like that a lot of times to me. It's like the universe, God, sends us this idea, this message of something to do, and we don't do it. We don't take that inspired action. We don't claim it. And then it just moves right along and keeps going. And then somebody else grabs that amazing idea, that amazing thought. And so for you, it might have been to call Aunt Bertha. For them, it might have been calling their cousin, Stephanie. It would just be that there's something that you could have created this magical connection with, and then it moved along. So it's not that you have to constantly be, oh, that's something I need, but it's being open and aware, right? So let's go back to our affirmation. I am deeply connected to my inner power and I create a magnificent life with ease. Make sure that you use that today because this is really powerful. And, one of the things that I do is before I get on here, I do a little short meditation. Not every single time, because sometimes it's like time gets away from me and then, or that's kind of a silly statement, right? Sometimes I end up doing things that take me a little longer than I anticipate, or I lose track of time. And then it's like, oop, you got to get on, right? So sometimes I don't do that meditation. However, I'm usually listening to something in the mornings that I'm drawn to, and that usually inspires me with some kind of affirmation and journal prompt that means something to me. And then typically that means something to you. And so I'm sharing the things that I want in my life, the things that I want to do in my life, that I'm aspiring to do in my life, that I intend to do in my life, right? And I'm sharing that with you, hoping that that resonates with you as well. So take this affirmation. I am deeply connected to my inner power, and I create a magnificent life with ease. And then our journal prompt: how does connecting to your inner power help you create the life you desire? And write about the ways you can tap into that power more often. So like I tell you every morning, or every day, take your notebook or your journal, put the date at the top, and put the affirmation in the journal prompt, because they are to be together. I create them to support one another, right? And then spend some time in silence today to get in tune with that inner voice, connecting you to that inner power, right? And then just brain dump as much as you can. And the reason I suggest that you do it this way is because we cannot see differences when things are small. Like small hinges swing big doors, right? A 1% change every day creates exponential growth. However, do you see that 1% change in the next day? No, it's a compound effect, right? But a lot of times we've made changes that become our new normal and we don't even recognize how far we've come. And I reference a lot of times about when I was 75 pounds heavier than I am today. And I started working on me and started releasing the weight, feeling better about myself. Well, over time, I had made these, I didn't lose 75 pounds overnight, right? It was a slow progression. And as a matter of fact, I had to lose 50 pounds before anybody even said anything about me having lost weight. because it was like it was so small and insignificant as I was going. So when people would see me after I had lost the weight, it was like, oh my gosh, you know, you've lost some weight. But before that, I got very discouraged sometimes because people didn't notice, but neither did I. And so I might see a little bit difference in my clothes, a little bit, but when I would look in the mirror, because it was so small incremental changes that I could see myself there exactly as I was, right? And so the thing is that when I look back at pictures of when I was 75 pounds heavier, then it's like, wow, I forgot how far I've come. And that's what I want. The reason I want you to do the date and the affirmation and the journal prompt and all that stuff is so that you can come back and you can look and you can see, oh my gosh, on September, what is today? Why is my, oh, September 24th, 2024, this was what I was thinking of and my inner power. And this was how I was going to tap into it more often. And I had all these ideas. And look how far I've come. I've connected in all of that. I have done that. I have been creating this magnificent life, but I forgot that that's what I was thinking that day, right? So it's given you the place and the opportunity to log the things that are going on. It's almost like like, you know, some people do like video diaries. Well, for instance, there's people on YouTube that start dieting, right? And they've got a lot of weight to lose. So they go in and they log like once a week or whatever, the things that they've done and the difference they've made. So you can see each week that they look a little bit different, right? If they did it every single day, you know, that would be kind of boring because you're not going to see from one day to the next a difference, right? But you will from week to week, especially after you get like 6 weeks, 8 weeks in, you're going to start seeing a difference if you look back at that first video. And so those are physical things, those are easy to see. But the internal things we don't see, but we can see how it affects us, how it affects our outer environment, how it affects our thoughts and our feelings, and right? And so that's why it's so important to do this so that you can look back and see, oh, I was feeling and thinking these things, but man, oh man, now this is how much that's changed. And so it's just a beautiful process to go through to help you to recognize those little changes that you make every day. Like one of the books that I love, it's called The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. I think that's the right name. And that in that book, one of the things that he talks about is that little 1% change. So he says, and it's been a while since I've read it. I need to go back, right? But one of the things that he talks about is if you decided today to have a hamburger and fries and a milkshake, tomorrow you will not see the residual effects of that, right? You won't see anything. I mean, you might get a tummy ache or something, but who knows? If you've been doing that, it's not going to affect you at all. You're not going to see the difference. But if you do that every single day for a month, you might then see a difference in your weight or your cholesterol or something, right? But then you give it 3 months, 6 months, a year of doing that every single day, it has a huge effect. And so most of the time, we don't even realize that the daily things that we're doing are creating all of this change. And so we want to be doing that on purpose. That's what I'm getting at. We want to be in control of this process and creating the magnificent life that we want instead of just letting it create us, right? All right. So thank you so much for being here today. And oh, hello, Jackie. Good to see you. Good to see you. And so I'm going to just go back real quick and just say the affirmation is I am deeply connected to my inner power, and I create a magnificent life with ease. Beautiful. And then our journal prompt. How does connecting to your inner power help you create the life you desire? How? How does it do that? And then write about the ways you can tap into that power more often. So today, just get centered and tap into that power. It's within you. Help it to get out, right? All right. So you have an amazing day tapping into that powerful you that is there. Just letting it flow. And I will see you tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern. And remember, what is today? Today is Tuesday. So tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern, look in the events section, because Ruthie is going to be sharing live in the group about being holistically healthy. And it's amazing. I can't wait to hear all the nuances that she's going to be sharing with us. So if you can be there tomorrow and support her. And then today, as I can, I've got such a busy schedule, but today I plan on creating the event for next month with Dr. Nancy. And then we're going to be really enjoying having these guest experts that can share with us. So if there's something that is on your mind or on your heart that you think that you would like a little bit of help with, you can post it in the group or you can send me a direct message. And if it's not something that I do, I'm really working on getting more guest experts in. So all I need to know is what is it that you're looking for. And then I will peruse and get a guest expert to come in and help with that. So I've got some amazing stuff lined up, but I definitely want to know what it is that you want, what you feel the desire for. And I am going to be doing another stand up and stand out party where we talk about our 2-minute pitch and how we can connect with one another. I just haven't got it scheduled yet. So as soon as I do, I will let you know. And I would love to have you come to that. We've already done 3 and they've been grand. And so if you have wanted to come and you weren't able to, then you should have gotten an email with at least the last one, the recording of the video, and a little bit about what went on. So check your email for that. And if you have not been receiving your emails, because I have those kind of emails coming out, I have a newsletter that goes out in email. And so there are some people in this group that for whatever reason, their email did not translate into the spreadsheet. And so if you are not getting those emails and you would like to get those emails, just private message me with your email address, and I'll make sure I add it to the thingy, whatever, to my email list. Okay. So you have an amazing day tapping into your inner voice, and I will see you tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern.